Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and we are starting a new year with a fun project that I'm hoping that you and maybe even your kids will make and refer and use it the whole year for 2014. It will be something really fun to look back on in the years to come. Here's one that I've created because the year's just started. I haven't filled it in yet, but let me show you how it is put together and what it does. It's either a journal or a scrapbook, or I always include journaling and photos together. So I'm not sure if you want to call it a scrapbook or a journal. It's pretty much both. You can see that I've just used different size numbers cut out of scrapbook paper, pattern papers to create the year 2014 for the cover. And then the inside is tabbed, and I have 12 tabs so that I can divide this by each month. So on the tabs, I've used either a die cut or a sticker or a punch. Sometimes I make them by hand, but some embellishment that sort of reflects the month. So here is January, and then the interior pages, I'm going to have some that are solid and some that are lined for writing, because it's just easier for me to write on lined pages for some reason. For February, I have a heart. For March, I have a shamrock. For April, I have eggs, which are just cut from the inside of the zeros on my numbers. Here for May, I have a flower. I think of June as being when it really becomes flip-flop weather. So I've got my sandals. For July, I have a replication of a flag. Here is a watermelon for August. September to me is always back to school. I think all those years I taught just doesn't get out of your blood. So I have an apple for that. For October is a pumpkin. And then November is a leaf. And finally, December is a mitten. So all closed up. It's just this fun journal. Now to make it, I'm going to start with the front and the back cover. And what I started with was paper that was a 6-inch square. I'll bring this up and show you. So you're going to cut a 6-inch square if you want it to be the size that mine is. Of course, you might want to make it bigger. You might want a mini book that's littler. It's up to you. Once I have the front and back cover and all the inside pages are the same size. They're all 6-inch squares. You're going to punch out the binding, and basically I came in a 1/2 inch and marked it, and then the exact middle. So right at 3 inches, I punched my first 1/4 inch circle, and then equal distance from the end and the circle, I have my second punched hole, and then equal distance from the middle and the bottom is what will be the third punched hole. So that's how you get the 3 holes that will end up being the bind, where you're going to bind all those pages together. So you're going to have the front cover, the back cover, and inside pages. And some months you may have lots of things you add, so you have lots of pages, and other months you may have very little because you were busy with other things. The beauty of making it yourself is you get to decide. So when it comes to decorating the front cover, what I did, I'll bring this up so you can see the finished one along with the sample. I just took different size numbers and I cut them out of different pattern papers and then just overlapped and arranged them until I liked the design. People have asked me sometimes, you know, when I'm doing something like this, I am aware not only of the shapes I'm setting down, but also of the negative shape. So if you look at the finished one, I'm also looking at, I think this looks better when it doesn't line up with this. I like this, the shape that's left. I think the overall design is improved when you focus on the positive and the negative shapes. Once you have the front cover decorated, then let's look at the inside pages. Now I die cut the inside pages in my book. So there's one die cut that cuts with the tab that's at the top, and you cut a different color and you flip it over and it becomes the tab at the bottom. And there's a second die cut that cuts all the middles. So you have the top and the bottom with one and the middle with a different one, and the holes in the same place. If you don't have access to this album, these 2 dies, either you don't have them or they're not at your kid's school where you might use them, it's easy enough to make it. What you'll do is take, once again, cut a 6-inch square, and then I cut 2 circles, and the diameter of my circles are 1 3/4. And all you need to do is put adhesive on the circles, and I'm going to place it where I want that first tab to be. And then I'm going to put a little bit more adhesive on a second circle and overlap it so that I've wedged this red paper in between the two, and you get the tabbed pages that's really very similar to if you cut the tabbed pages. Once you have the tabbed pages, then it's fun to look at how to decorate the tabs. For January, this snowflake was a die cut. So I'll bring up the snowflake. You're going to put a lot more adhesive than that, but put adhesive on the back and attach it to the tab to get the snowflake. For February, I'll bring up the heart, and I think this also is a die cut that I'm going to go ahead and I'll place there, and you can see how you're going to do those. If you look at the sheet here, you can see that I have stickers, I have die cuts, I have punches. Sometimes I couldn't find anything that was exactly what I wanted, so I thought I would go to the page that I have for August, for summer. What I have is a watermelon, and I wanted to show you it's not hard at all to make many of these little small shapes. So if you start with just red paper, and depending on how big you want the watermelon to be, I have a flat edge that I'm going to start with, and I'm going to cut a wonky half circle. I want it to look a little more watermelon-like, so I have a half circle but with kind of a wonky edge, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue this onto another chunk of green, but this is where this is going to go. I'm going to just lightly set this down. The reason that I'm not, for right now, I'm going to just cut around this larger. If you want what looks like all of the striations that you normally see on the rind of a watermelon, it's easy enough to just take a chunk of lighter green. I'll do this on this orange so it shows better. And I'm going to place this down and attach it in pieces. You're just going to place a little bit under the red. You don't have to have the red even down there yet. This could be something that you did before the red even went on, but I'm not going to stop to do the whole thing. But once you have a pattern going all the way around, then you're going to go back and trim this so that you once again just kind of have, I want it to look a little funky. I don't want it to look like a perfect circle, so that you end up with the idea here of this watermelon shape. I'll bring this over to the orange too so you can see. Either way, the final touch to make it really look like a watermelon is to go back and add a few seeds. So I'll do some. I find that it works best for some reason if I do an odd number. So I'll either do 3 or I might do 5, but once you have the little watermelon ready to go, then it's just a question of attaching it onto the tab for the summer month where this is going to go. I can't remember now for sure which month I had this in, but once you have all of those tabs decorated and embellished, it really does make a fun little scrapbook. Now, the binding of the book. What I have is metal rings, and you can see in my little Viewtainer container, I've got lots of metal rings. You just get these at any stationery store, and sometimes they come in silver, sometimes they come in colors. I've actually spray painted some in order to make custom colors that I wanted, but I'm sure you've used these. You just open them up, put them through the holes, and then close them back shut. So that's if you use the metal rings, which is what I used on this particular book. If you want to, if you've seen me use the bird leg bands, they work as well. And let me bring up, I can show you if you haven't seen this. You have as many pages in there as you need, as you want. This works very much like putting a key on a keychain. You just slide the pages so that you have this all the way on the front and the back. You put it into the position so that this lines up with the hole, and then you just twist it. Really the same as if you were putting a key on a keychain. And then you can do this, with lots of pages. And these come in lots of different sizes and lots of different colors as well. So that's how you bind the book. Now, if you decide that you don't have a circle punch that's the size you want, or a die cut that's a good circle size, and you want to cut with a paper trimmer, you can use the same idea, but just transfer the idea. Instead of having circle tabs, you can use your paper cutter to just cut tabs that end up being rectangular. And this is 6 different tabs. When they're lined up, you can see how it creates 6. If I repeat these same 6 again, it would give me all 12 months. So you can do that as well. I chose the circles just because I wanted more of my embellishments to show. For me, having this cool look when this is sitting out and you've got all of these, I don't know how well you can see all those decorated pages. I just think that's fun. And it pleases me to see how fun and how bright and colorful that is. You know, once you get in the habit of jotting down your thoughts every week and of course adding photos, I think you're going to really enjoy it. And I know that it's going to be fun for you to flip back through in the years to come.